saw him first on the road, and he's hustling that thing around in pretty good fashion here today.
The thing you have to be careful about is when you do have some downtime, of course, the natural thing is to jump back in and drive even faster than you were before to catch up, but you've got to be careful, because if you do that, you're going to break something. There should be plenty of time to catch up.
Copy, have a left rear flat.
Eavesdropping on radio transmission from the leader's truck. Roger Mears has a flat on the left rear. So the second leader of the day is in trouble as we check the leaderboard in the Gold Coast 300. We'll be right back.
We gave Dodge Ram the most powerful overall line of truck engines on the planet. A driver's side airbag, the option of four-wheel anti-lock brakes, a cab designed to set the standard for comfort and room. Then, after we made Ram that good, we made it this bad. Introducing the new Ram Sport. At America's Truck Stop, the new Dodge.
You want to know the secret to choosing a motor oil? You wait till the sun goes down. You take a ride to your local garage and then get a real close look at what the mechanic puts into his own car. Fact is, more top mechanics in America choose Valvoline over any other brand. Valvoline can help keep cars on the road for 100, 200, 300.
We're back in the desert. The score, Trophy Truck Gold Coast 300. Dave Despain along with Steve Wise earlier today, and in fact in all the races this year we've seen 23 classes of competition. They put that guy in there because I like the bikes. There's the buggy, got the quads, got them all. Interestingly enough, this guy sits at the top of the heap, Steve, going into the series finale.
That's Brian Stewart, Ivan Stewart's son. Brian leading the overall points championship race for all of the other classes. I know Brian would love to win it. His dad, Ivan, won it last year. That'd be a nice family double 2 years in a row. It's very competitive for this championship, Dave.
The Trophy Trucks team, meanwhile, have their own championship, and look what Brian Stewart's boss is doing. He is leading the race. This is Walker Evans, who has assumed command here outside Las Vegas with the flat tire misfortune for Roger Mears. Indeed, Mears has stopped to effect repairs on the Chevrolet. For the third time today, we have a new leader, and each time it has been the product of mechanical difficulty. Mears was close to winning the Baja 500 when he had trouble very close to the finish line. It's got to be frustrating, Steve.
Well, flat tires quickly becoming the story of the day, and of course in a situation like this, Roger has to change his own. He doesn't have a co-driver like Walker Evans does to help him out.
Wait a minute. Speaking of co-drivers, we have reports of trouble on the lead truck. Walker Evans and his co-driver John Sarl. Indeed, they're looking for a place to pull over and park. Sarl goes to the belts and climbs out. Evans, moments after taking the lead, is reported to have a flat tire. You saw him pull the hammer out of the side pocket there where he had it stored. Here, you're going to need this, John, to beat that wheel off. More bad luck for the front runners. We'll have to see what that's going to do. I think that's going to put... Well, Jim Smith is going to be first on the road, but I think he may still be second on corrected time. He may have the opportunity to take over the lead here, and this could be a case of the win going to the last man running.
Or the last guy with 4 good tires. Jim Smith had his problems earlier. He's shown some good patience, and he's been rewarded. He's back up at the front of the pack.
If you were paying close attention, you noticed a dust cloud behind Jim Smith. In that cloud of dust, this truck, Rob MacCachren, is the race leader. He's second behind Smith in the desert, but he is first on corrected time. This as a result of the breakdown for Walker Evans, who says, John, hurry up, get that tire changed, get back in here, we got work to do. Evans, the third driver today to surrender the lead due to mechanical problems. Ivan Stewart inherits a position as a result of this. He will move up to third place. He's one of 5 drivers who came in here with a shot at the championship. Paul Simon has gone to the sidelines. That leaves 4. This is Mears, and I'll tell you what, Steve, this has taken a while.
Yeah, you wouldn't think in this short of a race we'd see this many problems, but honestly, the tires are taking a beating out there. This course is really chewed up, probably from some of the earlier racing from some of the earlier classes.
You saw LeDuc and Jackson go by the stop truck of Mears. Kurt LeDuc's having a heck of a day here. He's currently 6th. As Mears gets things running and gets back underway, 5th on corrected time. Kurt LeDuc in his maiden voyage here front of Roger Mears, and that's a pretty impressive effort. Steve Kelly, running the Jeep Cherokee, is currently 8th. He's been in the top 5 in points all season. Consistency counts in this game.
Well, he finished 3rd in the first couple of races this season. He's been making up time ever since. Actually, he and LeDuc co-drove this race last year when they were both running in this Class 1 Jeep, so they have some experience here. They did pretty well. I think they finished 5th last year.
Another guy who's been pretty impressive today is Larry Ragland. Got here from Germany just in time for the race. Didn't get in his usual pre-race testing session. Blew both front shocks on the first lap, but is quickly catching up with the leaders. And I think we may see more of Larry Ragland, the defending race champion, before this day is over. He's out onto the pavement in the Nelson & Nelson Chevrolet. Looking forward to the new trophy truck that they're building for 1995. Hello, gang. Glad to see you out here in the Mojave Desert. We'll be back with more of the action. Rob MacCachren leads it.
Toyota has won more off-road championships than anyone, but winning isn't everything. Building better trucks is. So after every race, we take our trucks apart, piece by piece. We look for ways to make them even more powerful, even more durable. Because whether we're building a one-of-a-kind racing machine or your one and only truck, at Toyota, our minds are always racing.
The Gold Coast 300 brought to you by the new Dodge, a division of Chrysler Corporation. Mandatory pit stops coming up. Rob MacCachren's crew await the arrival of the Rough Riders Ford. Down the row, Russ Wernemont and the Ultra Wheels team ready for Jim Smith. Smith is first on the road, second on corrected time. MacCachren second on the road, leads the race based on having started further back than Smith. And here they come, and this is when the crews really get their mettle tested, Steve.
The mandatory pit stop, something new with the trophy trucks this season. A chance for us to get a look at them. You're always hoping that it'll be close when they get to this point of the race. In this case, it is about the halfway point of the race. So it should be interesting with all 3 of these guys coming in pretty much right together.
Rough Riders, one of the best crews in the business. Ivan Stewart hoping that somebody ahead of him may have a little trouble because he's not had a lot of success catching up on the road here today, as they say. The little truck is pretty nimble through the rocks and stuff, but it's been overpowered on the fast stuff this afternoon, and Stewart has been playing a game of catch-up all day. Remember, he too had a flat tire. All of the front runners have been plagued by that difficulty. Here's a trick piece of Toyota technology. That's the hydraulic jack that will lift Ivan's truck off the desert in 0.8 of a second and speed that pit stop along. 30 seconds is a good stop in this league. Wernemont and crew wait for Jim Smith's arrival. Right behind him comes MacCachren. And for the call of a leader's pit stop, let's go to Steve.
Rob MacCachren in for his mandatory pit stop here at the end of lap number 3. Everything seems to be running well for Rob. The crew is going to check the truck out, but they're expecting a normal pit stop on these mandatory pit stops. A 2-tire change, rear tires in this case, and they'll fill up with gas. It's a short race, so there's no need to stop again for gas. This should be the only stop of the race. So far, Rob having a good run all the way around, running right up near the front. He started in the 3rd row with Ivan Stewart. He's managed to put some distance between himself and Ivan. Everything is running smooth.
Meanwhile, down the road, things are not going nearly as smoothly for Jim Smith. They've been struggling as MacCachren's crew finished their pit stop. Smith was first in. MacCachren will clearly be first out. No sign yet that Smith and company are ready to roll. And boy, Jim Smith's not very happy about it.
Well, this is your worst nightmare, is that you would lose a position during a pit stop. The one thing you don't want to do is start eating somebody else's dust just because they were quicker in the pits than you were, and Jim does look upset.
Meanwhile, Ivan Stewart has come in. They have deployed that hydraulic jack, and he is getting his routine service here. These guys are known for their quick stops. 30 seconds is routine for them. And as they slam the lug nuts home, it looks like the Iron Man is just about ready to go. It's beginning to shake down here. It looks like MacCachren's the man he's got to beat. Rob's out perhaps 20 to 30 seconds ahead of him. Stewart is back underway, and those two are ready for a showdown. Here are the high fives. Team Toyota happy that they've done their job against Smith. Is really going to be hot because they are just now getting him finished with service. And boy, he blasted out of their drag race style, throwing rocks and dust. Smith is back underway. We'll be back for the showdown in the desert, the Gold Coast 300. Stay with us. A lot of power generated in these parts. Just down the road from Las Vegas, Lake Mead, back up against Hoover Dam. But the power we care about, 600 to 700 horsepower per truck, generated by the Score off-road trophy trucks. Unfortunately, Roger Mears' truck's not generating any power. He broke the harmonic balancer.
In the past, I feel like we've had a little of the new car blues, obviously, but this one here, this is a rarity. I mean, this is a real proven deal. This engine is the same engine that Raglan runs from the same guy, and it really, this kind of thing just shouldn't happen. And you know, we'll have to just look at it and see what happened. But guys have really done their homework, and you know, let's face it. As far as I'm concerned, the races are won before you get here. You know, they're really done at home, and that's what's a little disappointing after all the work and effort everybody's put into it for this little thing to bite us. But we're going to come back strong in the next one. We can't wait.
A couple of times this year, Mears has been close. He was second in the Baja 500. MacCachren is your current leader. He's led a lot of this thing here today, but Ivan Stewart is after him again. You can see the dust cloud back behind him. In fact, they are close enough to see both trucks in the same frame. And after all these miles, Steve, that's good racing.
Well, this will be fun too, Dave. No confusion. You don't have to have a stopwatch here. They started together. Whoever gets there first is going to win it.
It's a head-to-head showdown. Give a listen. Now let's eavesdrop on Ivan Stewart's radio transmission.
We've got him within 100 yards. He's just making a lot of dust. I can gather him up with the real rocky stuff when it gets to the faster road track. He really runs hard. Do what you can. You're going to have to stay hard on it.
All right, you heard the exchange. The Ford perhaps a little bit better in the smooth stuff. The Toyota able to close up a little bit through the rocky sections. And Stewart trying to put pressure on the leader, MacCachren, trying to force the mistake. It's the veteran, the off-road legend against the comparative newcomer, and it's a critical showdown. MacCachren leads the points and leads the race. If he wins today, that could be the backbreaker that pulls out the championship. Steve Wise spent some time earlier with the series leader.
They've been saying it about him now for the past 2 decades. That kid sure can drive. The truth of the matter is the kid has grown up. When he was 8, Rob won his first state motorcycle championship. He quickly moved on to go-karts and then desert buggies. And by 17, he was both Rookie of the Year and Driver of the Year. That was followed by a move into the truck classes, where he's managed mini and full-size pickup season championships. At 28, he's a full-fledged member of the prestigious Rough Riders team. Little Rob is now part of big-time racing.
When I first got involved in this, it was just a hobby, you know, and then now it's a job, you know. It's a big business, and it's really important to myself and also all of our sponsors. You have to win races.
There's actually more to the job than just winning. On the day before the race, Rob's schedule is always full. Signing autographs for fans, attending functions like this Ford Ride and Drive, where race drivers take company engineers on a quick spin so they can swap notes. Later that night, there's the cocktail party with company VIPs, where deals for coming seasons are often cut. Who you know is very important in this sport, and it has been throughout Rob's career. A well-publicized stint as a valet parking attendant at the Gold Coast in Las Vegas was cut short as hotel owner Michael Gahn took Rob under his sponsorship wing. MacCachren honed his driving skills as a member of the Walker Evans race team and eventually filled the shoes of IndyCar's Robbie Gordon for current team owner Jim Venable. He's had a lot of help along the way, but none of it any bigger than the support of his parents.
They've been to every race that I've raced since I was a little kid for motorcycles. It really helps out a lot, you know, them being there for me, and it's a big difference when you have a lot of people supporting you.
At the end of this season, Rob will turn his attention to the new Super Truck Series with visions of a Winston Cup ride in the back of his mind. He says he'll always try to fit off-road into his schedule because he loves the competition of desert racing. Competition like he's facing right now.
There's 3 guys chasing me, Ivan Stewart, Paul Simon, and Larry Raglan. They've all got a good chance at winning this too. 11-point lead isn't a lot. We've got to win races to win this championship.
And he could very well win it here today. First win of the season. If MacCachren can pull it off, he leads going into lap 5 of 6 here. And he'll head out onto the blacktop where that truck was clocked at more than 140 miles an hour. It's the fastest place they run in these desert races. And here is the gap. Back to the second place man, Ivan Stewart. They started heads up, side by side. Whichever one puts a bumper across the finish line first at the end of lap 6 is going to win the race. And if Ivan can do that, it will substantially improve his chances of pulling out the championship. What do you think, Steve? Is this down to a two-man race, or can one of these guys like third place Walker Evans come up there and catch him?
With the tire problems we've seen today, I think this race is still up for grabs, frankly. Walker Evans having a good race. He's back in the running. And this is Larry Ragland. He is really moving along now, so he has things working his way. It's not over yet.
Ragland's got an old truck, but he's driving it fast, and Doug Fortin is impressing everyone here today. He's back up to 5th after he caught the brakes on fire in an early pit stop and lost 15 minutes. We watch the leader, MacCachren, and listen to the pursuer, Stewart.
I don't want to stop. I'm not absolutely positive. I hit a couple of rocks back there and it feels like it's flat, but I'm not that positive. 10-4.
You heard the bad news. Stewart thinks he has a second flat and no spare. It has been the story of the race. Among the front runners, only this guy, MacCachren, has escaped the curse of the flat tire. He leads it. Ivan Stewart, the man Steve Weiss's daughter calls the Ivan Man, Ivan Iron Man Stewart, seeks help from the spectators. We'll be back to see how long this takes. Goes 300. Call it fun with flats. Virtually everyone has had one today. The exception, Rob MacCachren. As a result, he's the leader. Ivan Stewart most recently plagued. And there's more to the story with Stewart. Let's listen.
I'm about 5 miles from the top of the summit. No spare now. I left my spare there. It's flat. But my right rear is also flat.
The problem for Ivan, Dave, is he only carries one spare tire. Now with that tire, his right rear tire causing him a problem, he could be in for real trouble.
Stewart struggles, but up front, the leader is also in trouble. Rob MacCachren has pulled off the trail to change a tire. I guess it was inevitable. Everyone else has had this problem today. And now it will be Dennis Garman's turn to change the left front on Rob MacCachren's truck. Both the leaders are in trouble. Stewart is limping with a flat right rear. MacCachren is stopped with a flat left front. And Steve, it's anybody's guess who's going to win this thing.
You know, it's interesting too, Dave, because actually Ivan had a dream season last year, winning the championship. This is one of the few races, the Gold Coast 300, he didn't win. Later he said, maybe I was too conservative. He's not running conservative today. He's just having some problem with his flat tires and having a hard time picking up on Rob MacCachren.
He's going to try to get that thing back to the pit for service. MacCachren, meanwhile, had a spare, stopped and changed it.
Ivan should be covered. He must have had a flat too.
I think MacCachren, trying to figure out what's happened, he expected that Stewart would have come roaring by now. The fact that Ivan didn't pass him leads him to the conclusion that Ivan must have had trouble. I don't think anybody radioed him, Steve.
No, probably not. And now they're going to get that jack back in the truck because, gosh, they could have another flat if they're not careful. Everybody else out here today has had one.
And they need to hurry. Again, they don't know the real situation with Stewart. They don't know how much trouble he's in. 5:33 p.m. as MacCachren gets back underway. Stewart, meanwhile, limping to the pits, still needing a right rear, comes through this same section 3 minutes behind. MacCachren's got a healthy truck. Ivan's truck is limping. Too early to concede it, but certainly MacCachren is in the driver's seat at this moment.
Well, Ivan made up the 5 minutes he was behind, but now that they're both back running again, and as you point out, Ivan not at full speed, he's going to lose time unless he can get to the pit quickly. The main pits are just past this start-finish line area here, so he's really literally within about a half mile of his pit. But really at this point, with MacCachren running at full speed and not stopping at the pits, Ivan has to make that stop. He's going to be in trouble, and you can look and see how bad that tire is by now, Dave.
From the onboard camera, it didn't look all that wild, but get outside and you can see what Ivan Stewart has had to deal with here. He finally shredded the tire. There goes the little hydraulic jack. enable him to do this quickly. You got to think that thing's hot to be hugging like that. I wouldn't want any part of that job.
I'm sure that's why they're having a problem getting it off. They're going to have to knock it off there. They're also giving him another spare for the back, so they're replenishing his supply, so to speak. They've got to get this one on, and you're right, these guys are known for quick pit stops. It's hard to plan or practice for one like this where the tire is in such bad shape, but they're getting it done pretty quickly here. Ivan, of course, anxious to get back out and get back in the chase. He's got to not only catch MacCachren, he has to pass him.
Second to anyone else today would not have been a big setback for Ivan Stewart. Second to MacCachren will make it very difficult for the Iron Man to pull out the championship. He is back at speed and will be a man on a mission as he goes thundering down the blacktop. Here is Rob MacCachren. He's been trying all season to win one of these things. Finally, today it comes his way. Is there such a thing as home court advantage, Steve?
I think there has to be. He knows this desert as well as anyone. He practices here a lot. He's run here a lot. Ivan has as well, but Rob probably has a little bit of the edge, just like Ivan thinks he does down in the Baja races.
Stewart thought he had a big advantage here when Paul Simon dropped out early. It improved Stewart's chances in terms of pulling out the championship, but MacCachren has risen to the occasion, and I sense that he may have backed out of it just a little bit. He's now been radioed about the gap, and he seems to be taking a pretty conservative approach to these last few miles.
This is the finish line, and Rob MacCachren has waited a long time for this win.
MacCachren pulls off his first victory of the season. It comes at 6:19 p.m. as the shadows lengthen. The Gold Coast 300 falls to the homeboy. Rob MacCachren wins it for the Rough Rider Ford team. We'll be back to hear from him.
1994 Gold Coast 300, and Rob MacCachren, the rest of the trophy truck guys, came to your backyard, and you whipped them. Congratulations.
That's right. Today was really good for Ford and BF Goodrich, all the Venable Racing team. We worked real hard for this win. We had the points lead coming into this race, and I hadn't won a race all year. I knew to win the points championship this year, I was going to have to win a race and also get those bonus points for leading halfway. I think we got those today, so that should give us a little bit more of a padding on the points lead.
Talk about the day. No major problems, some flat tires?
Just one flat there on the 5th lap, and I think Ivan had one the same time I did, so he didn't get ahead of me. Other than that, it was just a great day. The dust was a little bit tough on the first couple laps. The track is really tight out there, and there's lots of big bowlers. These BF Goodrich tires are awesome.
We saw you right off the start line, you and Ivan, pretty much going at it, and that was it most of the day. What were you doing off the start line there, you guys kind of dicing back and forth?
Yeah, well, you know, we're out here racing, and we started the same minute, so the first one back here won, so I had to beat him whatever it took. So ran down that highway, and he came up and bumped me there a little bit, and then I pulled over to the left side, figured if he can go around, he can go around the outside, and I didn't see him come by, so we just went on our way.
It's got to feel good to win here at home.
Yeah, it's a real good feeling. I'd like to thank all the people at Ford and BF Goodrich for all their support.
Congratulations, Rob.
Thank you.
3 minutes behind Rob MacCachren. The Toyota of Ivan Stewart comes home. His championship hopes still alive as we head for the Baja 1000.
Well, Ivan, you can't win them all, huh?
Somebody said that years ago, and you're right. No, the Toyota truck ran fantastic. I made some mistakes. Remember I told you earlier today that you just can't make mistakes out here. And the only place I really had an advantage and I could gain on Rob and the other guys was through the rocks. So I could really run hard through the rocks and I could gain on them. And that's where I made mistakes. It cost us some flat tires. We got along the long flat roads and where the were silty, I just couldn't run with them. So I tried to make it up in rocks. It didn't work out. Sometimes you get a second.
It was interesting in that you guys were running together. You started together because of the way the race started. So you pretty much knew all along that you had to beat him.
Well, I knew Rob was going to be tough. He always is. He's always tough. He does a tremendous job. But yeah, it was fun. I knew if I was going to have to race anybody, it was going to be about 4 guys, and that I could probably pick out before we even started. He was definitely going to be one of them. So he does a fantastic job. He didn't make the mistakes today, and when we talk about that's what cost you making mistakes, and even a flat tire is a driver error, and cost you. It wouldn't be Goodrich's fault. I did hit some big rocks, and the tires worked fantastic. It's just you know, you just can't hit the rocks at the speeds we're hitting them.
The voice of the runner-up as we take a look at your top 5. MacCachren, Stewart, Ragland, the defending champion, 3rd. Evans, 4th. Doug Fortin, 5th in his first drive. The other new boy also had a good day as Kurt Leduc comes home 6th. Let's hear from the 3rd place finisher, Larry Ragland.
Finally, after 4 laps, had 2 nice laps at the end. Last lap was real nice. Everything went perfect. As we were leaving, I saw Walker go under the underpass as I was coming in, so I knew he had about 5 minutes. So I thought maybe we could catch him, so I ran it pretty hard, and luckily he had a flat, and that helped me a little bit. So we beat him and picked up another position. I had no idea. I never had a radio from the start, and I never knew any time all day where I thought 6th or 8th or whatever. I didn't have any idea. So it was a big surprise to get here and be 3rd. I just run as fast as I could go.
I had a heck of a race going for 2 laps, I'll tell you. I was giving Rob MacCachren and Ivan and those guys a hell of a run, and this truck was working perfect, and all of a sudden I had a couple of flats. That put me back, and now we got something going wrong with the electronic whole part of it. But all in all, I'm darn happy with it. Really, I am.
All right, fair enough, Walker. 1 race to go. Check the points. If MacCachren is 10th or better in the Baja 1000, he'll win the championship. Where are you going to see it? Come on. Right here on ESPN, of course. It's been fun being here in Las Vegas for the Gold Coast 300. I'm Dave Despain along with Steve Wyeth. We hope you enjoyed it too. We'll see you next time.
Finale last Sunday on race day. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson. Several big races this weekend. Our first stop, Atlanta Motor Speedway, where the 31st and final Winston Cup race was run this afternoon. Jason Young had some x-rays to his shoulder, which came out negative, thank goodness. And in our final point standings, Jiffy Lube point standings, there is a change in the top 5. Wallace finished way back, and that allowed Mark Martin to take second. He captured 269 points, more than Rusty in the final 3 races. Schrader edges Rudd for 4th. Today's UAW GM Teamwork Award goes to Troy Selberg of Todd Bodine's Factory Stores of America team. 3rd place finish, their best of the year. We congratulate Troy and the boys. So Wallace wins the most races, but he doesn't take the title. Is it time to change the point system? We talked with some of the people closest to that situation. Here's more top in the Baja 1000 as race day continues. Stay with us.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it isn't.
273 vehicles and motorcycles started this year's Baja 1000. Only 110 finished. It was that kind of race as Jerry Garrett was there.
There was something for everyone at this year's Baja 1000. From this 9,000-pound Cummins diesel rig called the Wild Thing to these Wild Things, the trophy truck division competitors where just about anything goes. At stake in this off-road classic, of course, was the prestige of winning it. But many of the 280 starters were also concerned about wrapping up championships in this, the 1994 season finale. Ivan Stewart was the defending champion in this race, but his luck and his motor gave out halfway through this year's race. With Stewart a non-finisher, that made it easier for Rob MacCachren to wrap up the trophy truck season title. MacCachren did just that with a 2nd place finish. The 3rd consecutive year his Ford's been the 2nd finishing car in this race. Brian Stewart, Ivan's son, needed a high finish to wrap up the season points title for the rest of the Score Pro Series racers, and his 2nd place finish overall in the Pro category made a champion out of him and his new Dodge Ram pickup, powered by a V10 engine that's the talk of the series. The Ford of Dan Smith and David Ashley edged out Stewart for 1st place among those Pro Class racers. And rounding out a generally great race for Ford, the event's sponsor, was Jimmy Smith, who was the first off the line in the trophy truck race. He ran that way all day, problem-free, and took the victory. It was Smith's first victory in this, the biggest of all off-road races, and another big outing for his crew chief, Russ Wernemont, who built not only Smith's car from the ground up, but also the cars of the other top 4 finishers. Ironically, Wernemont's now out of a job as Smith plans to team up with Robbie Gordon for next year's races, starting in January with the Parker 400. Reporting from Mexicali in Baja, California, this is Jerry Garrett.